of the issuances that they ought to follow and implement. It is by this reason that we ask them to appear personally to determine whether they possess the required competence in handling the matters at hand. The representatives from Bombo Radio Cagayan are also with us in today's hearing. As you remember, the committees directed them to produce a tape on air of the daily radio program of Governor Mamba along with Rogelio Caroger Sindic. This is in relation to the radio news clippings presented last hearing, where Governor Mamba announced the aforesaid 1,000 payout per individual, as well as his dismay in the decision of the Executive Judge Jesarin Aquino in issuing the TRO against the disbursement of provincial funds during the 45-day prohibited period of the 2022 elections. We likewise ask them to produce the contract between the radio company and the provincial government for further examination. The committees requested these documents to ascertain whether the radio program provided undue advantage to the Governor Mamba during the last year's elections. These revelations raise serious concerns about the adherence to the established guidelines, transparency, and appropriate utilization of public funds. As such, we must hold those responsible accountable for their actions. It is our responsibility to uphold the principles of transparency, accountability, and address to guidelines in the utilization of public funds. We must investigate further to uncover the truth, hold those responsible accountable, and take measures to prevent such occurrences in the future. The significance of inquiries in aid of legislation cannot be understated, particularly when it comes to addressing issues related to the illegal use of public funds. These inquiries serve as a powerful tool for uncovering the truth, ensuring accountability, and safeguarding the interests of the public. When public funds are misused or illegally diverted, it erodes the trust between the government and its citizens. It undermines very foundation of democracy and hampers the progress of society. Inquiries in aid of legislation provide a platform to investigate such matters thoroughly, enabling lawmakers to formulate effective policies and laws that prevent future mistakes. Thank you. Mayong aga sa tanan. Co-Chair PD, you have
Well,
something to say?
I will not be making any opening statement considering that our resource persons and the members of both committee are very eager to interpolate our resource persons.
Thank you, Chairman PD. Before we proceed with the opening statement of some of the resource person and of course the interpellation period, I'd like to request the COMSEC to administer the oath of all those resource persons present that has not taken their oath during the last hearing.
With the indulgence of the chair, may I first recognize the other members who have just signed on via Zoom, Your
Please
Honor.
proceed. Please proceed.
We would like to acknowledge and recognize our Vice Chairperson, the Honorable Isabel Maria Zamora, and the Honorable Mary Mitzi Kahayon Uy, the Honorable Ivan Howard Ginto, Honorable Yasser Alonto Balindong, and the Honorable Benvenido M. Abante Jr. That's all, Mr. Chair.
COMSEC, please proceed. Administer the
Yes,
oath of
sure.
all those resource
We
persons present.
kindly request all the resource persons who have not yet taken the oath last hearing, whether via Zoom or physically, please stand up and raise your right hands. To those resource persons via Zoom, can you please turn on your audio and video so you may be properly recognized? Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Siyempre, hindi tayo.
The
Kasi
oath-
nandun sa PRD, oh.
the oath-
PRD.
Thank you, Comsec. Before we proceed with the interpellation, let me give and ask the Honorable Governor Mamba of Cagayan if he has something to say. I will give you 5 minutes,
Yes, sir.
Honorable Governor.
So much.
Please proceed.
I have an opening statement.
Sorry, Gov. Before we proceed, I would like to recognize Rep. Margarita Nograles of PB Party List. Ma'am, good morning. Thank you for coming. Please proceed, Gov.
Good morning, honorable chairpersons, honorable members of the Committee on Public Accounts and the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, my esteemed former colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I respectfully appear before you today out of courtesy to the institution which I faithfully served for 12 years as a former representative of the 3rd District of Cagayan, and for another 4.5 years as Presidential Legislative Liaison Officer. I also beg your indulgence, as it pains me to be away from my constituents at this time, while they brave the heavy rains and heavy winds by Typhoon Betty. My respect for this institution compels me to recognize your present efforts as equally important and even vital to our democracy. Yet, with due respect, I humbly submit that the independence of our Supreme Court and our constitutional commissions, particularly the Commission on Audit and the Commission on Election, likewise deserve utmost consideration. I say this because the measures at hand, proposed House Resolution number 145, which seeks the COA to conduct a special audit, and House Resolution number 146, which cites the COMELEC for alleged inaction, both refer to subject matter of cases presently pending before the COMELEC and the Supreme Court. A petition for certiorari docketed as GR number 265847 is pending before the Supreme Court and Bank, involving the final resolution of the COMELEC and Bank in the petition for disqualification docketed as SPA number 22-089 DC, filed before the COMELEC by Dr. Sara de Guzman Lara, who is the wife of the honorable author of the House Resolutions numbers 145 and 146. Dr. Lara's petition for disqualification alleged supposed incidents of vote buying and purported illegal distribution of public funds during the campaign period in the province of Cagayan. But the COMELEC Second Division found that there was no vote buying because the projects of the province of Cagayan were implemented not for the purpose of enticing the beneficiaries to vote for me. Then the COMELEC and Bank dismissed Dr. Lara's petition for disqualification for lack of jurisdiction. A similar petition for disqualification, docketed as SPA numbers 22-064 DC and 22-077 DC, was filed by Victorio N. Kasaway, who appears to be the Chief of Staff of the Honorable Author of the proposed House Resolutions. This petition has been submitted for resolution of the COMELEC First Division. Considering that the proposed House Resolutions refer to the very subject matter of those pending cases, a finding or resolution of one institution may bring criticism or discredit to the other. For instance, since the COMELEC Second Division already ruled out the existence of any vote buying, much less any influence exerted upon the voters, it could be said that the proposed House resolutions were based on false premises. The present inquiry could also be used to unwarrantedly create or sway public perception, or worse, influence the resolution of the pending cases before the Supreme Court and the COMELEC. If the Supreme Court or the COMELEC would rule contrary to public perception, criticisms could be thrown against the administration of justice. If they rule as public perception would have it, their independence and integrity could be put to doubt. In either case, the rule of law would suffer. As such, I respectfully seek this Honorable Joint Committee to consider the rule on sub judice, which restricts comments and disclosures pertaining to judicial proceedings in order to avoid prejudging the issue, influencing the court, or obstructing the administration of justice. After all, the Supreme Court cautions that, close and open parentheses and open quotation, there is no congressional power to expose for the sake of exposure. Thank you, and God bless to all of you.
Thank you, Go Mamba. Please submit the opening statement of yours to the committee.
Yeah, I have already submitted one last night. Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Go. Yes, Manong Edsel.
I submit that it is a settled doctrine that the jurisdiction of the Congress or any of its committees to conduct investigations in aid of legislation is not covered by the sub judice rule. That is well settled. And I think this should be recognized by all parties concerned.
Thank you for that manifestation, Kong Edsel. Vice Co-Chair PD Bersaga.
Well, I joined the manifestation made by Congressman Lagman. And besides, we have the rules on our rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, and there is no provision providing that in the event that there is a pending case that will prevent this committee or Congress from exercising its constitutional duty to have an investigation in aid of legislation.
Thank you, Co-Chair, for that enlightenment. Anyway, let's proceed to the interpellation.